holidays, everyone, from the Church of SFL to your homes and workplaces, schools, wherever you're listening, closets, I don't know, do you, wherever, bathrooms, wherever you can find that's a little bit of alone time. Happy holidays, guys. It's my favorite time of the year. Hopefully it's one of your favorite times of the year. And it's pretty much my favorite time of the year because it's the time we get the best of film and TV and humanity, in my opinion.
Wow.
I mean, I don't want to undersell it. From December 1st until February 28th, I am on somewhere between an 8 and a 10 in terms of happiness, just to be alive and experiencing this time of year again. Like, it's my everything, and I'm just happy to share this with you guys. I just want to start this podcast out with just a bit of Thanksgiving. I don't know that I said Happy Thanksgiving when it was Thanksgiving, but
we didn't.
No, but I'm thankful for Trisha and the podcast and you listeners for hanging in there with us. We've been it's been a busy time of year, as I'm sure it has been for you as well. And so just to start things off with happy Christmas. Happy
wow, giving your thanks from Thanksgiving and then also recognizing Christmas and holidays in general. I love it.
And holidays, Hanukkah, Kwanzaa,
all of them,
every other thing that's celebrated in this time of year. It's just a good time to to let people know how you feel about them, and just show your appreciation. It's not spurred on at any point, or not being influenced by this week's movie at all, to just let you guys know how I feel about you. This is completely just how I'm feeling at this moment, and I just wanted to put that out there. And yeah.
Wow.
So,
Well, energy received. And your thanks are received. I'm very thankful for you and Strong Female Pod. I mean, my God, SFL has been a consistent, even if we've taken little breaks, this has been a consistent for, is it
2-3 years? I think we're in year 3. Well, I think we're coming up on this is 3rd season. So yeah.
It's the 3rd season. And I think we started in February 2019.
Yeah.
So, wow, we're almost 3 years in.
Well, I
know. Isn't that wild? We need to take a look at how many episodes we have, and we need to do one of those, this many episodes. We've got to be close to some large number. I mean, is it 100? I don't know, but we need to make sure that we celebrate that. We absolutely.
I think so. I agree. We need to come up with some way to commemorate the channel and podcasting and women in film. All should we have an awards show? Should we do an awards? I don't know, a special evening with SFL where we hand out our the podcast's best something. Best director, best, that way we have complete control over the winners. We've had a lot of SFLs. We've had a lot of great stories being told, memorable stories, interesting characters, and I just want to further recognize excellence in every way that we can. This film may or may not make those lists.
No, it might definitely not. But I think that is actually a phenomenal idea. And, I think that we need to bring the Deacon in if he's willing to volunteer his services, because, he knows how to get that shit done.
Yes. I am excited. This idea has renewed my happiness again. It's the season to
and allow people to come in via Zoom.
Yeah.
Listeners, get in. I mean, we may have to mute you guys. And then unmute you. We just want to eliminate full total chaos. But but I'm loving this, just bringing people in. It's just our live recording.
Yes, or send us voice notes. Send us voice notes to the of what you think of, or what are some of your favorite movies that we've done, or things that you're how have you not done that yet? How have we not done that? Send us a little voice note. We've got the SFL Gmail, or I think you can send voice notes via Instagram, but I'm only like 60% sure.
And you want to know what's kind of
But
funny is we haven't really fleshed out the idea yet. And then we're already doing a call to action, but we are processing this. So this is we are thinking creatively. We are going to get there. We're going to figure this out. We're going to come up with a process, and we're going to bring you all in. And I love every minute of it.
I'm so excited.
But in the meantime, just start thinking about your favorites.
Yes. And start considering this week's film. So yet again on SFL, we take a look at what Hollywood is serving us up hot and fresh and telling us is an SFL. And this week's film is definitely something that Hollywood was serving up and telling us that it's full of SFLs, like full, brimming, overflowing with SFLs. And we're determining, did they get it right? Are they getting it right? Are they listening to us? Do they hear us when we say, stop writing such and such a character, maybe lean into such and such a character? I think this week's film, The Happiest Season. Oh my God, so many ties. Oh my God, did you get that whole thing before? I hope you got it. But The Happiest Season, written by Clea Duvall.
Yes, and we love
starring everyone that we love. And I'm going to go on the record again and say that I think that Kristen Stewart has come so far as an actress. I don't think she was playing a character. I think she's just being herself in this role, but I just think she's come so far. From the last time we saw Kristen Stewart on the podcast to here, she's come so far.
There's movement. Like, I don't dislike seeing her on screen. I just have it has zero impact on me. And she's a beautiful woman. And other than my recognizing that, there is zero, she evokes absolutely no emotion from me ever. So in any movie I've ever seen with her.
Oh my God, you've got to watch Underwater. I actually thought she was really good in Underwater, and she looks like she's doing a reasonably good job in the Diana movie. I haven't heard any like critics reviews of it, but it looked like from the trailer, I was like, oh my God, she's doing it.
I
get it.
People get it. I get it, and people get it. People get her. Clea Duvall is incredible, and so I want to recognize that she's incredible and she's responsible for this film.
All this. Yes, we've got another sighting of Aubrey Plaza. It's been a long time since we've seen Aubrey, but I'm always happy to have her on the pod.
An Aubrey sighting. She's always so good. And Alison Brie, yep.
Love it.
And Mary Steenburgen. I'm not sure if I say her name, but every time, or if I'm saying it right, but every time I see her, I'm just like, come back to me.
Yes, she is so understated, but so funny.
She's so fabulous.
I loved her performance. I thought she was like just perfect.
She's fabulous.
Like what I imagine, like a New Hampshire mom about town. I think
political wife. Just, I mean. And Dan Levy, who I love him. I think he wasn't given a ton to work with in this. I think we could have gotten a lot more from him, but it wasn't his fault. He did great with what he had.
Yes. And I love this appearance of was it Mary Hollandaise? Mary Hollandaise. It's just Mary Holland. But I know her from comedy as being just like the star of UCB for a long time. And I love to see, comedic actors just getting their shots and working their way up the ladder. But I always think that she's really funny.
Which one was she?
She was like the youngest sister, who's just like quirky, and then she writes the book.
Oh my God. And she's also, Mary Holland, she also co-wrote the screenplay with Duvall. With Clea.
Oh, I didn't realize that. That's awesome.
Yes, she was very, very funny.
I loved her character, but it did seem like Dan Levy was just doing this for a friend. Like, there's just no reason for him to be at this movie.
Yeah, he gave
I'm
me.
sure he's just in this friend group and he's like, I want to be in this movie. And then they're like, yes, we have a role for you. But I
Yeah,
feel
it
like
does
Kristen
seem like
Stewart's
maybe
character.
he's just friends with Clea.
Yeah.
And
And like
it gave me vibes like David Spade doing Bachelor in Paradise, like hosting it. Just kind of like,
what?
it's a thing. Like David Spade co-hosted a couple episodes of Bachelor in Paradise reality
Oh.
spinoff, and it didn't seem like rehearsed at all. It seemed like he was just like, yeah, like sign me up, like let's do this
Yikes.
thing, and that's how it felt. And I think because he's a fan, and that's how it felt with this a little bit. Like Dan Levy maybe has connections with Clea Duvall, and is just like, yeah, let's do this.
Mm-hmm. I
That's
agree.
what I think.
I didn't feel like Kristen Stewart's character needed to be saved at all, but she seemed like she's doing it just fine herself. But I'm not mad that Dan Levy shows up anywhere. I feel like he's just perpetually invited, so I'm absolutely not not mad that he's here. Thank you for showing up. But
No, I'm never upset. But so so what happens in this? How's a start?
oh, so much, guys, so much. So this was from 2020, and apparently when it came out, it was quite a hot topic. I think it came out right after our last year's holiday. We've wrapped up for this season, but I remember this having a big. It definitely made a splash when it was released. Because it is a story about a lesbian relationship. Oh my God, gasp everyone.
Yeah.
But it's a holiday romantic comedy that captures, this is the tagline for it. A holiday romantic comedy that captures a range of emotions tied to wanting your family's acceptance, being true to yourself, and trying not to ruin Christmas, which two of these things seem really important. And then like Christmas is a day. So, I mean. But it does. It follows the story of shoot, let me get their names up because I'm going to mess them all up because I never pay attention to characters' names.
I know. No, that's okay. We've got Abby. She is we've got Abby, we've got Harper. So Harper is played by Mackenzie Davis, and Harper is one of the primary characters along with Abby. They're dating, but Harper is hiding it from her family. So then we've got the sisters. We've got Allison Brie. She's her character is Sloane. She is the eldest sister of the Hollands. Or no, that's Abby Caldwell. Sorry, of the Caldwells. Then we have Aubrey Plaza. She's Harper's ex-girlfriend. Then we've got Dan Levy, Abby's best friend, Mary Holland, Jane. She's Harper's middle sister. And then we've got a bunch of other people. So there you go. So I would say the main ones are Abby, Harper, Sloane, Riley, and Jane. Right? Yeah, maybe.
That's everybody.
Those are the main ones, except for the parents and stuff, and we'll get into them later.
Yeah. So the movie kind of starts out with a glimpse into Abby and I already forgot her name, Mackenzie Davis. Mackenzie Davis and Kristen Stewart's relationship where they live in Philadelphia, where they're a happy couple. Mackenzie Davis's character is Harper. Harper is showing Abby, Kristen Stewart around, showing all of her favorite things, and she's like in love with Christmas, much like myself. And Kristen Stewart's just like, meh, this is all okay, but I love you. So I'll go along with all of your little shenanigans.
Well, right, and, because she doesn't Harper like Christmas because her parents died. I guess because it reminds her of her parents dying. I'm trying to think if her parents died on Christmas.
That's unclear.
Right, but there was a connection.
That, like at one point, she does explain that like her parents and her family love Christmas, and the reason why she doesn't love Christmas anymore is because her parents are dead, and with them, unfortunately, a lot of those traditions. So, But Harper still loves Christmas. Her family goes all out, and so Harper invites Abby to come home with her for Christmas. She just blurts it out in like the spirit of the moment, in the spirit of Christmas, I want to say, has just like overwhelmed her as
I
it does.
mean,
And
it seemed very silly, a very silly idea. I was just like, this is terrible. And I didn't know how terrible until like, I'm like, oh, not a great idea. Like, that's not thought out. And then it was like way worse than anything I ever imagined.
Yep. I agree. It was not good. It's not good because Harper never told her family that she's a lesbian. And she just forgot that. She forgot that for the moment. And there our first problem lies. She's in this relationship that's going really well. They look really happy together. I'm like excited for them. At the beginning, I'm like, oh, cool. I wonder what the drama's going to be because they seem really happy.
They're just like hot. They're throwing each other up against walls and like, in the alleys of Philly and kissing. And they're just like, I'm like, yes. Okay. So where is this terrible stuff going to happen? Because right now you seem fine. So where'd we leave off? So
we got the happy couple with our first problem, which is that Harper's family doesn't know that she's a lesbian. But we're going home for the holidays. So, cut to Harper begging Abby to not tell her parents that she's a lesbian, and then not only not tell her family that she's a lesbian, but also don't say that Abby, she's asking Abby to also say that she's not a lesbian, so it doesn't make it weird. And I was like, okay.
And then it also, but she broke this news to Abby on the car trip to visit the parents. So she had previously told Abby that she had told her parents that she was gay and that Abby was her girlfriend, I believe. So, it's just a lot to bring up when you're on your way there.
Yeah. So. And I feel like these are bigger relationship red flags than the movie allows us to process. Not only I understand, like, I have empathy for, I shouldn't say that I understand, but like, I have empathy for like the situation where you're like, I'm not ready to tell them. But I think you cross a line when you're like, don't share your identity. What you want to do with your family or what Harper is asking Abby to do and not allowing her to be herself. I'm like, I feel like that's one too far. Or we would never, like, I don't know. I feel like you wouldn't accept that of other things.
No.
I think people shouldn't ask people to do that.
I mean, yeah, I think it happens. I just think, the best decision, well, I don't know, because the movie ends up differently, and so maybe this was the decision, very Family Stone. It just goes into chaos, and then everyone's, in love with each other and it all works out somehow. But it did not seem like a decision from the get that was going to work. But so they get there. Right? They get there and they drive there, they go to meet them, and they meet the father, Ted, the perfectionist mother. I love that name, Tipper, and the wacky artistic sister, Jane. Those are the first people that they meet. And it's worth knowing that her father is campaigning for mayor, so they're a political family. So that's where a lot of this type of image and not necessarily being conservative, but just image is playing into it. I mean, definitely seems like there's a lot of conservative beliefs at play too, but it seems mostly image based. But so the family just welcomes Abby as, Harper's orphan friend, which is just one of those very interesting and very funny. I did find it quite funny because like that is something that will happen. like in some situations with families with like just a tag, like they have this little, it's just really not the correct way to put it. It doesn't make sense. She was an adult when she lost her parents, and it does not mean that she grew up like this. Isn't like, can I please have some more? Like, please, sir, can I have some more, sir? Like what is the book? What is the play that I'm trying to think of? Orphanage.
Oliver Twist.
Yes.
Yeah.
This isn't an Oliver Twist situation. Like, this is something just, and also just referring to people as orphans, to me, it feels like, I don't know if it's gone out like officially, but it's there in line in my head with like calling someone a bastard child. Like, it's just somewhere there where like, really? Like we're defining the children by the status of their parents, whether they be alive or dead, or they were married or not. And we're just going to give this child this label that they just have to, I mean, it was very funny to me because I can totally see something like that happening. Like, totally.
I'm glad you said that, because that to me felt like one of the like more forced like lines. I was like, oh, we're still doing this running joke that she's a literal orphan, not that she's been orphaned. And I was like, I don't it just seems like a woke family like this, quote in air quotes, woke family like this. I'm assuming they're from the East Coast. I'm also
but they're
assuming
not woke.
that they're the liberal establishment. Yeah, and then it becomes more and more clear that that's okay. Maybe I'm reading this family completely wrong.
No, they're not woke. They might be running on a liberal ticket of some sort, like, but they're not like woke socially. I don't think so, at least in terms of their own family.
But I also I do understand that like that type of joking also showed the like callousness with which like the environment that Harper grew up in, that of how callous it must have been for her. That would be, I'm like, if someone has been orphaned and you repeatedly calling them orphan, there's no empathy to the fact that they've lost their parents. Like,
they really don't care about learning about Abby, and they're very pitying, and it's just very, ooh, okay, orphan friend. And it seems slightly like, whether it is or not, like slightly politically questionable or incorrect, and just sort of it was funny to me. They played it a lot. I know they overdid it, but it was the delivery of the wife doing it was actually very humorous for me. Like, I liked it. I liked her delivery.
Yeah, I totally get that. I also feel like it points out how little they know about her, and how little Mackenzie has filled in the family as to who Abby is. And I'm like, okay, well, again, like if your family knew who, like,
Harper,
even as a friend, your family doesn't. Well, what Harper has said about Abby to the family, like that no one knows we don't know that she exists at all after what, I'm assuming over a year of being in a relationship, if they're looking at getting engaged. I don't know. That just made me side-eye Harper even more. I was like, so you've said nothing. You've said nothing to lay inroads for the character of Abby in your life as it pertains to your
and it's
family.
one thing to do that, but it's another to then invite her into the situation. Like, if you did that or didn't do that, whatever, then I can respect, like, I just, what I can't respect over any of this is like just bringing her totally into all of your own shit. Like, just handle it. Like, I don't know what it's like to be in that situation. So I'm not going to pretend that it's easy, or that she should have just been able to feel like she could be authentic and she should have been able to say something earlier. Like, that is not for me to even begin to comment on. But bringing Abby into this, like, I could not like Harper at all. And that's why, and I'm just going to say at the very end, they stay together. And that was very concerning for me. And I didn't quite understand why. And then I was like, I thought it was going to be very, very, I'm like, oh, this movie's so predictable. And I see that, you know, Abby's going to become close with the ex, Aubrey Plaza. And I'm like, oh, and then they'll be together and authentic. But then it wasn't predictable. It was the ending that I thought it shouldn't have had at all, actually.
I agree. I think that Kristen or Abby and what was her name? What is Allison or Riley? Riley as Aubrey
Mm-hmm.
Plaza's character should have ended up together. And just been in love and like being who they are. And I'm like, I didn't like the ending. I think it sends an interesting message for anyone who would identify with Abby's character. Like, why is this okay? Why are you allowing this to happen? Maybe
Yeah.
although Harper is the obvious like problem child, what is going on in Abby's life that's making it okay to be in relationship with a Harper after and endure this?
The whole time she's there, she's totally disregarded.
Mhm.
And like it was just very, I waver because I don't like the way that Abby was treated when she was there by Harper. And then that means that she was treated a certain way by the family. And so I didn't like that. She was just so totally disregarded and dismissed throughout it and really just not even seen as a person. And I don't know why they were so heavily judgmental about her. Like, this is just truly hysterical to me. This seems like an upper, like probably wealthy, I guess, family. And it's not like Kristen Stewart is like coming across like she's like really struggling. Isn't she like a PhD student or something? I don't know. It was just very like, oh, those levels of society, like she's the lower class here because she's a student and these are all very privileged people. So there was that piece of it. But then also I really did waver on like hating Harper, but then also not wanting to say that like a character like Harper doesn't get to end up happy in a relationship and then, you know, fuck up a bit and then be open, and then end up with the person. Like I don't want to say that that can't happen, but it was forced out by her older sister Sloane. And so who knows if she would have even done it. And then we do is we get pictures of them being happy and like, here's our campaign photo. And like, here's Kristen Stewart, who's like uber casual. And like Harper's got her arm around her. Like in all of the photos, the only people that are like touchy or whatever are like Abby and Harper. And I'm just like, I don't know what to do with it. I don't think that Kristen Stewart deserved, like, just, I mean, to give you guys an idea, like, she shows up there. The family's like, oh, this is Abby. That's great. And then Harper basically ignores her. Every once in a while, like, she tries to kiss her and meet up with her in secret, but then, like, is literally hiding her in the closet at times. And then just, you know, like, the kids of Allison Brie's character, Sloane has obvious like jealousy issues about Harper, because Sloane decided to go, I don't know, focus more on being a mom and having a business, which I didn't see anything wrong with, but like has a big thing with Harper. And her kids like slip and what was the point of that part of the story where they slip the jewelry into, like, they're at the mall and the kids basically get Kristen Stewart in trouble for shoplifting. And
that
I'm just like,
no sense.
It didn't seem to have a point except for them to then just think that Abby / Kristen Stewart like wasn't good enough for their family. But she's treated like shit, like throughout this entire, it's not even mean. It's worse than being mean. She's not even being acknowledged at all in any way. by anyone about anything that has to do even remotely about her. I mean, it's like she's basically invisible and they're very confused about why she's still there. And I just don't, it was terrible.
As everyone should have been confused as to why she is still there.
She should have left. I'd love to think I would have left.
And I understand like how she got there because she told her literally on the road. So I'm like, it's between, you know, you're in one car going to one place. So I understand how she got you there, but I don't understand why you stayed for days enduring this. I mean, or she's just a better person than me because I would have been out after day 2. I'm like, I'm sorry, I didn't steal this. I'm gonna go. Christmas by myself seems better than Christmas here.
I would have loved to say that I would definitely have left. I have no idea, like, when you're in a situation, what you're gonna do. But I will say that as an objective person, taking a look at this and not being, I mean, she's in love with the woman, right? She's like head over heels, wants to propose to her. So she's like hanging on desperately, maybe just hoping that she gets the ending she wants, which she actually does seem to get. But for me, objectively, it is just like, I just can't believe that she is still there. And I do appreciate Harper's, you know, I appreciate her being open and honest with Abby at a certain point about why she can't be honest with her parents. Is they're always competing. It's clear from the beginning, they're all very much in competition with each other for the parents' acceptance and love. And she's afraid that she will lose that if she lets them know that that she's a lesbian. And so that is a very, very, very scary prospect. I'm but just very curious. Don't bring her.
Yeah. And that doesn't mean that like you as the outside person have to stay and endure that. Like, I mean, I want to advocate for what I feel is the healthiest response, which would be to remove yourself from that situation. It's one thing when it's your family and you're like, and that's a different relationship, but for you to subject yourself to this type of treatment from her family, I'm like, oh, I don't know. I'm trying to marry your daughter, not you, not the rest of you.
Insane. Like, I mean, and while she was, I'm glad that she, I mean, it has to be just because it was a movie, because I read that this is like loosely, it's like semi-autobiographical for Clea Duvall. And I'm just like hoping that this isn't exactly what happened. And she was invited, this person, the lover, you know, the girlfriend, the almost fiance was invited. I'm hoping that didn't happen that way, like invited for the holidays to not be just to be invited, which is weird also. Like, why would you invite your college, or why would you invite your roommate? But like, I just hope that happened for the sake of the story. That was just, because that just does not, it just doesn't, in no world, like in the same way in which you're like promising a young woman, like in no world, like this plan makes sense to me. There's nothing in this plan that makes any sense to me. You can just handle this with your parents and family separately. And then just handle it separately, like, and take your time. And then if Abby is okay with waiting, she'll wait. If she's not okay with waiting, she won't. But like this was the worst decision ever.
And I can totally see that this is like, you know, slightly exaggerated for like, if this is semi-auto, it's definitely, they up the stakes for the film, but I could totally see this happening. Like, especially my confusion was like, how old are they supposed to be? Because like, I would assume that they're like between like 28 and like 28 to 35. Like, they don't look super young. And so like, if this was happening and they were like 22, 19, I'd be like, oh, this makes perfect sense.
They look like early 30s.
They do. And so I was like, you've waited a long time. I would have just slightly less patience if I was Abby, because it's been a long time. And then you get not Sloane, but Riley's story with
right. Yeah.
I cannot remember these kids' names, guys.
No, that's
I'm
okay.
sorry.
Riley's story, because she is her story about being Harper's ex-girlfriend, and that was excruciatingly painful and also very high school.
Yeah, but I imagine that's a very accurate story to a lot of people's experience. And I love, like, I feel like Dan Levy had he had all the iconic lines, or like he was giving a lot of exposition about, like, showing us how the story is happening, which I'm like, oh no, that's a bad sign. If the characters are explaining what you're supposed to take away from the movie, then I think maybe we get one more round of edits to go through.
No, it's like $1 Million
much...
Baby, like where you're just telling us this story and then nothing, like you've told us the whole story. The only person who can get away with that is Morgan Freeman in Shawshank. At this point, I can't think of another example where I'm okay with it.
Yes.
I just can't. Yes. It just should not be happening in modern movies anymore. It's an old storytelling technique.
Yes, I'm like, you've just showed us. We get it. Like, we get it. This is 3 coming out experiences. Like, being outed in Riley's story. Doing what you felt is right in your time, which is Kristen Stewart's experience. But she also had a positive experience. We have Eugene Levy, which is like Eugene. That's his father, Dan Levy. His experience, which was again coming out in your own time, but having a negative experience. And then we get Mackenzie Davis's story, Harper's story, which is waiting, trying to find a perfect moment, and there isn't one.
No.
But I also appreciate what he said about, being ready when you're ready. Like, nobody should rush you, and nobody should take that opportunity from you, which is what she did to Riley. She took that opportunity from her.
So I'm gonna throw something out there. I feel like Dan Levy, it's maybe controversial. I don't know. I'm gonna have to see how this lands on this recording. He was giving me like a magical gay vibe. Like, rather than the magical Negro trope, like the magical gay best friend, like just giving you the lay of the land and exactly what you need to be doing, and just being that voice of reason. He had no other point in that movie. Like, that was it. He was a character device. I love seeing him, but that's all he was. But then I was a little surprised, if he's so magical, like, why did he seem like they should get together? Like, when he set up that little thing for them to like chat, I was like, no, you should have done that with Riley.
I agree that was his role. I just don't feel like that was needed. I feel like that took a little bit of Abby's agency away from her, is to have someone show up and try to save her. She's not defenseless or lacking the ability to exercise agency. Could be a magical gay, and I'm sure he's just magic in person. I'm not offended by the use of the term or the creation of such a term.
He may truthfully be a magical gay. And Dan Levy, please reach out if you want, if you do feel that way. But no. I think it is sort of like a character device. I think it is one that was used in this movie. I don't know if I've seen it. It's usually like just a best friend or whatever, right? Yeah. But Morgan Freeman is like the ultimate example of the magical Negro character device. But this seems like a magical gay.
It seems like the only person in Hollywood who is allowed to have magic outside of Hogwarts is Morgan Freeman. He's both the only person we'll take exposition from. He's the only narrator, and he's the only one who's an acceptable magical. Yeah.
So maybe Dan Levy. I don't know. Maybe he's not. Maybe he's not the magical guy, but I don't know. I like it.
I would have liked for his character to be like a little bit more. And I feel like I have no right to say this, but I would have wanted him to be like a little bit more forceful and or offended by the choices that Abby is making, because Harper gets to make whatever choices Harper gets to make, but I would have been more I don't know. I feel like somebody should have been legit angry. Like, I feel like he was like, gently ribbing her about the choices that she's making. But
Yes.
like, he's had such a terrible experience coming out. And I feel like he should have been more triggered by what's happening between Abby and Harper. I feel like his character could have just been like dialed up like maybe 2 notches. I love the
Yeah,
funny that
I
he
think so
brought,
too.
which is obviously his role.
Yeah.
But yeah.
No, I appreciate the funny as well. So yeah, we've got some SFLs, and for the rest of the female cast or female identifying cast, like everyone brought a strong performance. Kristen Stewart's just dead behind the eyes for me. I don't know why, but she's an SFL. I'm not going to take it from her. I do think that. Oh, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say she's one of few 2 times SFL. Didn't she get it? Didn't we give her an SFL for Twilight? Even though begrudgingly, probably.
Oh my God.
Maybe we didn't. Maybe this is her first one. We'll have to go back and double check. But she might be one of few who have actually received not 1, but 2 SFL.
How is that happening?
I know. She's our LeBron James somehow.
I know. She's going to become our SFL GOAT.
Right.
Without us even wanting that to happen.
She's been in a drama as an SFL and a comedy as an SFL. If she does
a
musical, then it's over. Kristen Stewart is it.
I have to think about the Twilight thing. I do have to think about that, because then 50 Shades of Grey as well was like basically the similar story. And I just need to go. I don't recall. Kristen, I can't tell you right now if you are going to be be our GOAT, but I do think it's worth saying, representation wise, I think this movie does a pretty good job, and it also touches on just intersectionality of a lot of characters, but for the primary characters being female or female identifying, and then also part of the LGBTQ plus community. I think that Clea Duvall did us all a service with this. I think that there needs to be more stories out there that tell us this. And I think that her being a part of the writing, or her writing and directing, that's what we mean by getting people who aren't represented into the writers' rooms. That's what we need. It's exactly what we need. Whether or not we think that it was great decision making for the lead character, who cares? That was just the way the story had to be told.
Yeah, I agree. I'm you don't have to make all the correct choices in order for it to be a thoroughly entertaining movie. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I thought that this was one of few LGBTQIA holiday specific movies that I could think of where the member of that community is also the lead. It's always a sassy side character or something like that, but the lead is, and the primary relationship that we're following and rooting for is the gay relationship. And I like that they're not questioning their sexuality. It's a question of, how am I going to come out and how is this going to look? I appreciate that that's not the conversation. No one's talking Harper out of being gay. They're just, though there is a cost in her mind to fully integrating that piece of herself into her identity and what that means for her family. But she's made a decision, or not even a decision, she knows who she is. She knows that this is true of herself. It's just how to represent that out in the world.
100%.
Is the question. But I do agree. I did read some some interesting reviews on this, because I'm not a member of this community. So I think the critiques that are out there from people who are a part of that community are also valid. And the one that I saw the most was that they're tired of coming out stories. But it is a universal experience, and so there's a reason why which is sad that it's even a universal experience for the community. I don't even know if that is anymore. You tell me, Gen Z, if that is still a uniquely common experience is having to come out. but I think the next phase, and I love that Clea has opened this door as she's just gonna lead us all down the path to that we need to go. Like, from, she's gonna take over the world, and I
I
would be
know.
following right behind her gleefully. But I would love to see the stories of like, they whatever happens next, the more mundane Christmas stories about like the gay I don't know, like the I don't know, the gay family in the North Pole and I
Oh
don't
my God,
know.
I love
Oh,
that.
I'm trying to think of other classic stories or it's just it happens to be a gay family, but one of the parents loses their job and like, how are they going to put on Christmas on a
Right.
dime and like the Christmas family vacation where the in-laws are absolutely insane and we're like looking at through the, it's an LGBTQIA couple, but or a single person, but we're focused on the craziness elsewhere. And I even hate that phrasing, but like the interesting thing is not that it's a gay couple, is that these people
Yep.
are going through something world changing and outrageous and funny, and it just happens to be a gay.
We've talked about this, and this has happened with other movies where, and that's a fantastic critique, because at the same time that like that I said, I want more stories where
Mhm.
people who are representing the community, the stories being told about, I want them in the writer's room. And this is an important part of a lot of people's stories. But when do we get to the point where it's no longer about that? It is just a character and they happen to have a sexual orientation that is different from the other characters, or they happen to identify differently than the other characters, or it's just part of their identity and it's not questioned. So, in the same way that her sexual orientation wasn't questioned, taking it a step further is moving past these coming out stories.
Mhm.
Although I think there's benefit in them. I mean, as an outsider, um, but maybe it's more harmful than not. Maybe I'm completely wrong. But it looks like Clea DuVall felt like it was a story that needed to be told, and she's part of the community. But it just when does it just when do we have enough inclusion where it just is?
Mhm.
And that's it. And I know there are movies out there. I know there are, and we've probably even covered some. Maybe not for LGBTQ plus, but other stories where maybe not the main characters, and that might be where the issue is, but where like minor characters, their sexuality isn't in question, right? It's
Yeah.
not even a part of it, and that's happened, but it it's still we've got
Yeah. I just don't
places to
like
go.
I don't like, I mean, and I hate this for, outside of the LGBT QIA community also. I just hate when someone's sexual orientation um or race is their identity. And I'm like, that might be true for some people. But I hate for it to be presented that way, as if like Dan Levy's character was just like the funny gay best friend. I was like, but Dan is also a person who had an experience with a coming out story, and I'm so glad we got that story, because it would have been so easy to just make him the outside character who's just like, you know, this I'm gonna call him the seasoned gay, um, you know,
Mhm.
magical gaying Abby's character. Just
I know.
and I feel like, to your point about diversity in the writers' room, without those people in the writers' room, that's often who you would have gotten, like a magical gay. But like he had a story, he had a perspective, and I appreciate those things. And he's funny.
He did.
Um,
He did. I wish he would have had more.
mhm.
He was still a bit of a magical gay for me in this. I mean, I know that there was more, and he did bring more. Absolutely. I think he was kind of a character device, or a plot device. But I will say though, I also want us to be careful to not fall into a we don't want people defined by this, like it has to be their entire reason for being in the movie, you know, or for their character, it has to be like the primary identity of their character, but I don't want us to fall into we don't see color either, right? So there's this balance of like, or a version of we don't see color, like it is someone's identity. But then how do we tell these stories while respecting that that is the person's identity and not making the entire godforsaken plot about how that identity is different from someone else's?
I agree.
You know, like it's just so tough, and we get there slowly, and it can't happen overnight. It has to start with even just stories being told in general. But we all see how the I don't see color thing panned out, and it did not work well for anybody. I mean, all it does is dismiss and disregard people's experiences. So it's like, it's just fascinating to see this all play out in art, you know. And it's very brave, very brave for people to put the stories out there.
I do think that the film did a good job of handling that, because Dan Levy's character states his identity. It's not like he's avoiding the topic. He states his identity. He gives his story, which are things that I appreciate, instead of it being like an over the top performance leading us to a conclusion. He said it. So he's not.
Yeah, like it's just like it's like a bird cage, like kind of situation.
Yeah. I love birdcage.
I know, but like we don't need it for this kind of movie. There's nothing against, right? Like it just doesn't. But there had to be birdcage.
Yeah,
like and it had, and it had to happen. And we just keep like building, and there's nothing wrong with even playing on some of the funny parts of people's identities. Like we have comedies for a reason, but we just don't want people to be like the butt. They're just, it's their identity that's the butt of the joke. Like, and we've all seen that a perfect movie can be made because we reposted it for Thanksgiving holiday. You can have diversity and inclusion and not be mean, and that is Booksmart.
Oh, Booksmart.
Let's all go back. Okay, so rating. What do we think?
For holiday films, I grade things on a completely different scale, and I'm gonna give this 5 out of 5. It's entirely watchable. I mean, it doesn't have to make perfect sense to me if it's a holiday film. Like, things that happen in the month of December don't have to make sense. It's just a rule. It's one that I live by. It doesn't have to make sense completely. It's like pure love of the game. And I love film, and I loved this movie. I think it's highly watchable. I think if you've got, you know, a night under a warm blanket with someone who you are like okay with, then this is a perfect thing that you should be watching with them.
I am absolutely dying. I would give this a 2.5.
What? Yeah. Why do you hate Christmas? Why are you being a Scrooge?
I can't, like, I mean, it was so watchable, but like the same thing, I wouldn't rate the reality TV shows that lull my brain to sleep. Like, I wouldn't give them 5 out of 5s. Like, most of them are like 2.5 quality, and they serve a purpose. Okay. And this is it served a purpose. It was a totally easy, like, stressless watch.
Yeah. I also think compared to The Family Stone, I was like, I would rather watch the Happiest season every day than have to deal with The Family Stone again.
Oh my God. And you want to know, I would probably rather watch The Family Stone again.
Oh God.
I know.
That's why we're opposites and why this works so well.
I know. And that one was like, you know, just like, what? But I'm just a little more nostalgic, I guess, so I can get like past some stuff for the sake of it being like a time capsule. But this, I mean, yeah, it was good. It was good. Like, that's a 50%, you know, it's not failing.
And again, I'm like, I think that's why a different scale. Like, I wouldn't grade this on a scale that I would grade a normal movie, because I feel like while I can recognize that these things happen, like, this is turned up for Christmas, for the drama.
I mean, you're grading it on a curve, a Christmas curve.
It's a candy cane, actually.
But guys, thank you so much for, joining, being loyal. We want to hear your thoughts. We want to hear, about the movies you like. We want you to rate, review, and subscribe on Apple Podcasts. And we also want you to just follow us and, spread the word about us and join in on any conversations or posts on Instagram. And you can find us at StrongFemalePOD.
Yeah, and tweet at us some of your holiday classics. Anything you think we should be watching, anything that's controversially a holiday movie, like the never-ending dialogue is Die Hard a holiday movie? The answer is yes. Of course, it's yes. Anything that happens in the month of December is a holiday movie. So there you go. There's the official ruling, official SFL ruling. If you disagree, you can tweet at us, but you'd be wrong. But go ahead and try it. We're SFL_Chicago.
You'd be absolutely wrong. And I think that's it. Bye.
Bye.